Hello and welcome to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down the greatest story ever told, chapter by chapter. And today, man, we are breaking the timeline. We are going way back.
We are. Today is Chapter 0, Strong World. This isn't a flashback within a story arc. This is a dedicated prologue to an era. We are witnessing the time of the legends, 3 years before the Great Age of Pirates even began. This is the world that created our story.
And when we say legends, we mean legends. Not just stories you hear from old-timers in a bar. We're seeing them in their prime, in the flesh. We're talking Gol D Roger versus the Gold Lion Shiki, an entire armada, a literal sea of ships against a single pirate ship. Are you kidding me? It's the kind of impossible scenario that makes One Piece what it is.
But the most shocking thing isn't the scale of the battle itself, as immense as it is. It's the reason for it. In the opening moments of their confrontation, Shiki reveals that Roger had already found an ancient weapon.
Wait, what? Oh my god. I remember when I first learned that, I just had to get up and walk around the room. That one detail, that single line of dialogue, recontextualizes the entire journey. It changes everything we thought we knew about Roger's final years. If you want to piece together this epic history with us, and believe me, you do, make sure you join our crew by following the pod. You won't want to miss where this goes.
Let's begin. The Edd War.
Okay, so we open in Marineford, the headquarters of the world government's military knight. And the place is absolutely buzzing. The snail transponders are ringing off the hook. Word just came in that Gol D Roger, the man who is already the most wanted and infamous pirate in the world, is about to throw down with Gold Lion Shiki.
And this gives us our first look at the top of the command chain at the time. And it's not Sengoku, the man we know as the Fleet Admiral for most of the story. It's Fleet Admiral Kong, a name that carries an immense amount of weight.
Kong. We've barely seen this guy, even in the current timeline. He's like the shadowy figure at the very top. And here he is, in his prime, running the entire Navy. You can just tell from his design, this massive gorilla-like man, that he was an absolute monster on the battlefield back in the day. But the best part, the absolute highlight of this scene, is Garp. He hears the news and just straight up walks out on the Fleet Admiral. No by your leave, no salute. He just turns his back and is gone.
It's such a perfect Garp moment. It speaks volumes about his status and his personality. He has zero regard for protocol or the chain of command. He hears his rival is making a move and he has to be there. It's a personal matter for him. Kong, the highest authority in the Marines, just has to accept it. He yells after him, but there's no real force behind it. He knows you can't stop Garp any more than you can stop a tidal wave.
It tells you everything you need to know about the power dynamic. Garp isn't just a vice admiral, he's Garp the Fist, a living legend whose power rivals the fleet admirals. He's a special case, an untamable force of nature that the Marines are just lucky to have on their side. And Sengoku is so annoyed. Oh my god, the look on his face. Garp just forces his way onto his ship like we're going, right now. You can feel the decades of migraines Garp has given this poor man beginning right in this moment.
It establishes their entire dynamic in one beautifully efficient scene. Garp is the unstoppable force, the visceral, instinct-driven heart of the Marines. Sengoku is the strategist, the brilliant mind who has to constantly clean up Garp's mess and try to point his cannon in the right direction.
You can see Sengoku's already thinking about fleet positions, containment strategies, potential collateral damage, while Garp is just thinking, I need to punch Roger.
His whole attitude is, Roger is my prey. It's not about justice or the world government. It's a deeply personal rivalry, a dance they've been doing for years. It reminds me of what he tells Luffy at Water 7, that he couldn't bring himself to capture Roger. There's this weird, deep-seated respect there. He's the only one allowed to chase him.
It also shows you the sheer gravity of Roger's name. The second he's involved in something this big, the Navy's heaviest hitters drop everything to mobilize. Kong, Sengoku, Garp, the entire top brass is focused on this one event. They know what he's capable of. They understand that a man like Roger doesn't just get into fights. His actions shape the course of history.
Exactly. They're not worried he's going to rob a few islands. They're worried he's going to break the world. A clash between Gol D Roger and Gold Lion Shiki isn't a simple pirate skirmish. It's a world-changing event. Two men who stand at the pinnacle of power are about to collide, and the shockwaves could topple nations. The Marines aren't just responding to a crime, they're trying to mitigate a cataclysm.
Then we cut from the war room to the heart of the action, the New World, the sea, and we see the Oro Jackson, Roger's ship, looking magnificent as always. And who is the first person we see on deck absolutely freaking out?
Of course, it's a young Buggy, with his original nose, I might add. It's almost strange to see him without the big red ball.
Yes, he is losing his mind. He's got the binoculars out, staring at Shiki's fleet, which is just impossibly huge. It's not a dozen ships, it's hundreds. A floating fortress that fills the entire horizon, and he is panicking. It's so good to see that No P has always been exactly like this. No character growth in the courage department whatsoever. He's the constant coward of the One Piece universe.
Alongside him is a young, carefree Shanks who seems completely unfazed, which is a wonderful contrast. But Buggy asks a very telling question. He asks Crocus, the ship's doctor, if Roger is even well enough to fight.
Oh man, yeah, that line hits so different now. When you first hear it, you might think he just got a cold or something, but we know better. Crocus gives him this classic reassuring Dr. Non-answer. Oh, he's perfectly fine, don't worry about it. But you can feel the lie, it's paper thin.
We know from much later in the story that Roger was suffering from an incurable disease. We know that Crocus joined his crew specifically for this final voyage to manage his condition and help him achieve his dream. This chapter is set 3 years before Roger turns himself in. This is the timeline. The disease is already taking its toll.
That's insane. It completely reframes the scene. So Roger, the future pirate king, is going into what might be the biggest naval battle of his life, outnumbered 100-1 while he's sick and dying. And he's facing down the Gold Lion, a man on his level. The stakes are already through the roof, and we just get another layer of impossible pressure casually added.
It says so much about the loyalty of that crew. Crocus, as the ship's doctor, is doing damage control. He's managing the crew's morale because if the crew knew their captain was severely weakened, panic like Buggy's could spread. He's protecting Roger's image as an indomitable leader so they can face this battle without fear.
And the crew trusts him. They have to. You see Rayleigh, Gabon, all these absolute legends, and they're not panicking. They're ready for a fight. They must have seen on a daily basis that their captain wasn't at his peak, but they're ready to follow him into an impossible fight anyway. That's a level of devotion you can't buy. That's the kind of loyalty a true king inspires.
It also shows you the entire mindset of Roger. He's a man running out of time. He can't afford to back down or take the long way around. Every day is a gift, and he has to live it in the fullest, which means taking on every challenge, no matter how overwhelming.
And then we get to the man himself, Shiki, the Gold Lion. He's floating, by the way. He has the float ability, which is already a ridiculously powerful ability for a pirate captain. He can make his entire fleet fly if he wants. He's standing there, a steering wheel in his head. Oh wait, that happens later. For now, he just has magnificent golden hair like a lion. He's addressing Roger, and he lays his cards on the table.
It's not a threat initially, which is what makes it so interesting. He's not here to just fight. It's an offer, a business proposal, an alliance.
An alliance to rule the world, not just be the pirate king, but to rule the actual world. He wants Roger, his greatest rival, to be his right hand. He's a pragmatist. He sees Roger not just as an enemy, but as an asset. He talks about his vast military power with his giant fleet and Roger's special knowledge.
And this is the moment, the line that changes the game. Shiki says it outright. He knows Roger has found an ancient weapon, the weapon from the Void Century. He knows Roger has found an ancient weapon.
I lost it. I completely lost my mind when I first heard that. My jaw was on the floor. All this time, for hundreds and hundreds of chapters, we're with the Straw Hats, chasing poneglyphs. Robin is risking her life to decipher these stones, trying to find Pluton, trying to understand what happened to Poseidon. And Roger already did it. Years before Luffy was even born, Roger had found one.
Or, as Shiki puts it, he knows the location of one. The distinction might be important. It implies Roger found a road poneglyph or some other record detailing the weapon's location, but perhaps hadn't gone to retrieve the weapon itself. But either way, the critical information is his. Roger holds the key to unleashing one of the world's 3 great calamities.
It makes you wonder, which one was it? We know Shirahoshi is Poseidon, so it's not her. So it's gotta be Pluton, the legendary warship, or Uranus, the one we still know almost nothing about. My money's on Pluton. The blueprints were on Water 7. Iceberg and I had them. It makes sense that the poneglyph detailing its location would be somewhere on the Grand Line for Roger to find.
That's the most logical assumption. He would have found the poneglyph in Alabasta, just as Crocodile was searching for it, and learned the location of the real weapon. It also explains why the world government was so terrified of him. It wasn't just because he was a powerful pirate with a high bounty. He was a man who possessed knowledge that could bring their entire world order crashing down. He was a direct threat to the Celestial Dragon's reign.
And Shiki wants to use it to take over everything. It makes perfect sense from his perspective. He's got the army, Roger's got the nuke. Together, they're unstoppable. But Roger's response, man, it's everything. It's the whole damn series in one moment.
He just laughs. A full, hearty, booming laugh with no trace of illness or fear.
He laughs. He tells Shiki he has no interest in ruling anything. He says, "What is the point of being a pirate if you're not free?" That line, that single line, is the heart of One Piece.
It's the core philosophy. It's the exact same sentiment Luffy expresses to Rayleigh on Sabaody. Rayleigh asks him if he can conquer the Grand Line, and Luffy yells back that he doesn't want to conquer anything, that the person with the most freedom on the sea is the Pirate King. It's the thing that separates them from every other pirate seeking power, from men like Crocodile, Doflamingo, Kaido, and Shiki. It's not about domination, it's about liberation.
That's the inherited will right there. That line, being the freest person on the seas. That's what the title of Pirate King actually means to him. Not ruler of the world, but master of his own life, his own destiny. Shiki can't even comprehend that. He's thinking in terms of power and control, and Roger is playing an entirely different game.
Exactly. It's a fundamental clash of ideologies. Shiki offers him the world, and Roger turns it down because being a king of the world would mean being tied down, being responsible, being the opposite of free. He rejects the offer flatly, and with that, the negotiations are over. There is nothing left to say.
The Battle of Edd War begins, and the visuals are just... it's breathtaking. We get these huge, sweeping scenes. It's the Oro Jackson, one ship, a beautiful work of art crafted from the treasure wood atom against a literal wall of enemy ships, hundreds of them, all bristling with cannons.
It's an unwinnable fight. By any normal metric, by any sound military strategy, the Roger pirates should have been annihilated in minutes. They are outgunned, outnumbered, and their captain is not at full strength. It is a suicide mission.
But they don't care. You see them leaping into action. They're dodging cannonballs, clashing swords. Rayleigh is there in his prime, looking cool as ever, taking down enemies with grace. It's all-out war. But even as we see them winning their individual fights, the sheer numbers are overwhelming. There's no way they can win. They can't sink hundreds of ships.
And then the world itself intervenes. The weather just turns. It's not a gradual change. It's like a switch was flipped. 1 minute it's a clear day for a naval battle. The next, a storm of the century just descends on them out of nowhere.
A storm so violent and so sudden, it feels like a targeted attack. The sea rises up in colossal waves. The sky turns black. Rain comes down in sheets, and winds howl with impossible force. Shiki's Grand Armada, his source of power and pride, is thrown into complete chaos. His numbers become his weakness as ships crash into each other. This is just like Logtown. It's the exact same vibe. When Buggy had Luffy on the execution platform and was about to chop his head off, and then that bolt of lightning comes down from a clear sky and saves him. And then the storm that Dragon seemingly summoned to help the Straw Hats escape Smoker. It's the same kind of impossible luck. It's a miracle.
Or perhaps it's not luck. We have seen strange weather-related phenomena around powerful figures before, particularly those with the initial D. It's often described as them bringing a storm. It's as if the sea itself, or fate, has a will and chooses a victor in these pivotal moments. The ocean chose to save the man who wished to be free upon it, not the one who sought to control it.
It totally did, and it shows Roger. This wasn't a random squall, this was a divine judgment. The storm smashes Shiki's fleet to pieces, sinking half of his ships instantly. The waves are like fists, just punching his armada into splinters. It completely levels the playing field in the most dramatic way possible. Roger didn't need an army, he had the whole damn ocean on his side.
In the chaos of that storm, amidst the crashing ships, the splintering wood, and the screams of his men, Shiki has his infamous accident.
Oh my god, the steering wheel! I had always heard the legend, but to see it happen, a huge chunk of a ship's helm, a massive wooden steering wheel gets flung through the air by the hurricane-force winds and just embeds itself in his skull, like deep in there.
It's such a uniquely one-piece injury. It's not a cool scar from a legendary sword fight with Rayleigh or a burn from a fight with Roger. It's a piece of nautical equipment lodged in his head because the ocean decided he was going to lose today. It is both terrifying and profoundly absurd.
Super. That is the only way to describe it. It's horrifying, but also kind of hilarious in a dark way. He gets this ridiculous, terrifying injury that defines his appearance for the rest of his life, all because of a freak storm that saved his rival. That's fate, man. That's fate in action, delivering the most ironic punishment imaginable. The man who wanted to steer the world gets a steering wheel stuck in his brain.
Exactly. It's a fundamental clash of ideologies. Shiki offers him the world, and Roger turns it down because being a king of the world would mean being tied down, being responsible, being the opposite of free. He rejects the offer flatly, and with that, the negotiations are over. There is nothing left to say.
So what does this all mean? Looking back, this one event, this Chapter 0, just lays so much groundwork for the entire saga. It's like finding a secret blueprint for the whole story.
It confirms that by this point, 3 years before his death and 1 year before he would conquer the Grand Line, Roger already knew the location of an ancient weapon. That means he was likely very, very close to reaching Laugh Tale. The journey through the poneglyphs and the journey to the final island are intrinsically linked.
So the government wasn't just chasing him because he was a powerful pirate who was racking up a high bounty. He was a man who possessed knowledge that could bring their entire world order crashing down. He was a direct threat to the celestial dragon's reign.
And Shiki wants to use it to take over everything. It makes perfect sense from his perspective. He's got the army, Roger's got the nuke. Together, they're unstoppable. But Roger's response, man, it's everything. It's the whole damn series in one moment.
He just laughs. A full, hearty, booming laugh with no trace of illness or fear. He laughs. He tells Shiki he has no interest in ruling anything. He says, "What is the point of being a pirate if you're not free?" That line, that single line, is the heart of One Piece.
It's the core philosophy. It's the exact same sentiment Luffy expresses to Rayleigh on Sabaody. Rayleigh asks him if he can conquer the Grand Line, and Luffy yells back that he doesn't want to conquer anything, that the person with the most freedom on the sea is the Pirate King. It's the thing that separates them from every other pirate seeking power, from men like Crocodile, Doflamingo, Kaido, and Shiki. It's not about domination. It's about liberation.
That's the inherited will right there. That line, being the freest person on the seas. That's what the title of Pirate King actually means to him. Not ruler of the world, but master of his own life, his own destiny. Shiki can't even comprehend that. He's thinking in terms of power and control, and Roger is playing an entirely different game.
Exactly. It's a fundamental clash of ideologies. Shiki offers him the world, and Roger turns it down because being a king of the world would mean being tied down, being responsible, being the opposite of free. He rejects the offer flatly, and with that, the negotiations are over. There is nothing left to say.
The Battle of Edd War begins, and the visuals are just, it's breathtaking. we get these huge, sweeping scenes. It's the Oro Jackson, one ship, a beautiful work of art crafted from the treasure wood atom against a literal wall of enemy ships, hundreds of them, all bristling with cannons.
It's an unwinnable fight. By any normal metric, by any sound military strategy, the Roger pirates should have been annihilated in minutes. They are outgunned, outnumbered, and their captain is not at full strength. It is a suicide mission.
But they don't care. Wow, so he's another one of these epic figures from the past whose plans are still moving in the present day, just like Crocodiles in Alabasta or Morias in Thriller Bark, but on a much, much bigger scale. He's a ghost from Roger's generation, still trying to finish a war that ended 2 decades ago.
It all connects. This battle wasn't just some random skirmish. It was a moment that set the stage for threats that are still to come, and deepening the lore of the world in a way that enriches everything that came after it.
What a chapter. A glimpse into the age of monsters. It's one thing to hear Whitebeard or Rayleigh talk about how legendary these guys were. It's another thing entirely to see it. One ship versus an armada. A man fighting his own fatal illness while fighting the world. I love it.
It certainly puts the scale of the world into perspective. The challenges the Straw Hats face are immense, but this is the legacy they're up against. They're not just fighting the current powers of the world, they are fighting the echoes and ambitions of the previous generation.
Okay, let's do it. Predictions. This is chapter 0, so it's a gold mine. We're predicting how this stuff pays off in the main story. Robin, you go first.
My first prediction is about Fleet Admiral Kong. We saw him here as the man in charge, but he's only been seen once in the present day, as the commander-in-chief of the world government, a position even higher than Fleet Admiral of the Marines. I predict he will be a final, top-tier opponent, but not for the Straw Hats. He will be the ultimate adversary for the Revolutionary Army. He is the man who commands the entire global military, the final shield of the Celestial Dragons. He will be Monkey D. Dragon's endgame.
Ooh, I like that. The old guard versus the new world. Kong versus Dragon. Battle of the monosyllabic titans. Okay, my turn. My prediction is that we're going to see a modern-day Battle of Edd War. It's too iconic of a setup not to revisit. I'm talking Luffy and the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, a scrappy, mismatched force, against the overwhelming numbers of the world government's entire naval power, or maybe Blackbeard's colossal fleet. And just like with Roger, when all hope seems lost, some kind of freak event, maybe the weather, maybe the Sea Kings responding to Shirahoshi, maybe something to do with Zunesha, will turn the tide and give them an impossible, legendary victory.
A very strong possibility. History in One Piece often rhymes. For my second prediction, I'm focusing on the ancient weapon. Shiki knew Roger found it. I believe this information was never truly a secret at the highest levels. The world government, specifically the Five Elders and Imu, know exactly what Roger found and likely have a good idea of where it is. I believe Roger, like Thompson with the Pluton blueprints, didn't use it but instead hid it or ensured it couldn't be used as a deterrent. The final war won't be about finding the One Piece itself, but about the race to activate the weapon Roger left behind as a contingency.
Man, that's heavy. The One Piece is the key to unleashing the weapon. That's a huge thought. Okay, my second one is about Garp and Sengoku. We saw them here as the ultimate duo, the fist and the brain of the Marines in their prime. They're both retired now, but they're not dead. I predict we will see them fight side by side one last time before the end. Not as active duty Marines bound by orders, but as two old legends coming out of retirement to make a final stand for what they believe in, probably to protect the new generation, Kobe, Helmeppo, maybe even Luffy, from a threat that the current system can't handle.
I would love to see that. A final glorious battle for the old heroes. My final prediction concerns Shiki himself. We know he had a 20-year plan. That timeline is very specific. It means his plan should have come to a head right around the time skip. While that plan seemed to culminate around the time skip, I predict we haven't seen the last of his influence in the main story. We will encounter the remnants of his crew, the Golden Lion pirates, or a weapon or territory he set in motion, and it will become a major, unexpected problem for the world that the Straw Hats will have to deal with. A forgotten emperor's legacy.
Nice. A ghost from the past coming back to haunt everyone. I can totally see that. Okay, my last prediction is for my man, Buggy. He saw this impossible battle firsthand. He saw how one ship could survive against 1,000 through sheer dumb luck. My prediction is that he's going to find himself in this exact same situation again as one of the 4 emperors. Hopelessly outmatched, facing an enemy fleet that should wipe him out in seconds, but his legendary, unexplainable luck will kick in. Some fluke accident or misunderstanding will destroy his enemies, and he'll be hailed as a tactical genius for it, failing his way even further up the ladder of global power. It's his destiny to be the clown king of circumstance.